Okay, folks, I've already pre-warned them that are in here. This is gonna get a little harder today. I don't know, maybe you think this is still easy, but it's gonna get a little harder today. Here's a homework assignment, page 47. These are evens, and then you have by fours, okay? It's not a whole lot of problems. Like 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Like, not a whole lot of problems. 7 problems for homework, right? 8 problems for homework, okay? 8 problems. You can handle 8 problems, okay? Do the work good. I'm only giving you 8 problems, not 28, all right? Do a good job on those 8 problems, and you will be done, all right? Here we go. So yesterday, we took a number line, and we were trying to find like a fourth of the distance and a fifth of the distance and whatever, okay? Now we're doing the same thing, but we're trying to find like a fourth of this distance, right? Like, how far is that, and what coordinate will we be on, okay? Now, what this is going to boil down to is you have how many units you're going in the x direction, how many units you're going in the y direction. So you want to find a fourth of that and then a fourth of that. So it's basically the same thing. You're just doing it twice to find your x coordinate and your y coordinate, okay? So some of you guys already know what we're doing. Like, you got it figured out. Like, this is going to be easy peasy, all right? So be careful. Pay attention to the steps. Here we go. Locating points on a coordinate plane. Example 1. They are saying C lives from A to B. A is my starting spot. So I'm going to put an S next to that so I know where we're starting. And B is the ending spot so I know that I'm ending there. And I want to go how far? 3/4 of the distance. So if I'm starting here and I'm ending here, am I going to be closer to A or closer to B if I'm going 3/4 of the distance?
Closer to A.
I'm going to be closer to the ending or closer to B 3/4 of the way, right? 3/4. 1, 2, 3 chunks and a 4th chunk, right? It's like chunks of 4, all right? Now, here's the deal. What I want to do, I don't do it like they do it because I do it easier, okay? Here we go. Except I need some room. Yes, dear. No, we don't. Well, I mean, you could do the distance. Okay, so that's a good question. We could find out the distance from here to here, right? And we could figure out 3/4 of that, and that would tell me how long this is, but I want to know what the coordinates are, is the problem. Yeah, so you can't do that, okay? So it's good in theory, that's the right idea, but we were wanting coordinates. So it's going to be a little bit different of a process. All right, here we go. Are you ready? Okay, listen to this very carefully. Here we go. We're going to do 2 different things. We're going to go in the x direction and we're going to go in the y direction. Make sure you're paying attention and I'll go through this fast, all right? So from A to B in the x direction, we're going from -7 to +6. From -7 to +6, how many units is that? 13 in the x direction, okay? 13 in the x direction. All right, how many am I going in the y direction? From -5 to 8. I'm going 13 units. You got it? Okay, now, I don't want to go, it won't always be the same. No, it won't always be the same, okay? So this is a bad example because they should have done something different. But it just depends on how tilted it is. This just so happens to be a 45-degree angle, so it's the same, okay? But it won't always be the same, all right? I want to go how much of that distance? Not the full 13.
3/4.
I want to go 3/4 of that, okay? So get your calculators out and tell me what 3/4 of 13 is. You can take 13 times 3 divided by 4. You can take 13 times 0.75.
9.75.
9.75.
Yep.
And 9.75. Okay. All right. Okay, now we're close to the answer, actually. This doesn't take too terribly long, okay? We want to go 9.75 units in the x direction, 9.75, and I want to go 9.75 units in the y direction, okay? Now, my starting point is -7, -5, all right? Now, if I'm going to the right, which coordinate am I going to add 9.75 to?
7.
-7. What's -7 plus 9.75? Or 9.75 minus 7? This is going to be 2.75. So I'm going to go over to 2.75. So whatever coordinate it is right here, 2.75, that guy right here, 2.75. Do you see how we get that number? We're adding it on to the x coordinate. All right, now I'm going to also add 9.75 on to -5. 4.75. That is my final answer. Is this hard?
Oh, that's not that hard.
That's not that bad, right? Okay, but you've got to go in the x direction, find what that is, the y direction, find what that is. Now again, they won't be the same usually, Okay, one will be 13 and one will be 15 or 2 or something like that. Now, also, we got to talk about what happens when you're going this direction and you're starting here and ending here. You might be subtracting the 9.75 instead. Does that make sense?
If, like, it doesn't come out as nice as this one did.
This one didn't come out nice either. 2.75 does not sound like a nice number.
Distance in both directions.
What?
The same distance in both directions.
No, I'm saying like.
Right. We'll get to that. Let's do a couple more examples and then you tell me if I covered all your questions, all right? Here we go. All right, locate a point on the coordinate plane with a given ratio. Now they're doing the whole ratio crap to me, okay? All right, A is here, B is here. Are we starting at A? A is the start, B is the end, okay? Start and end. And I want C to live somewhere there, all right? Now they're giving me a ratio of 1 to 2. Which actually means the fraction is 1/3. So if you want to just cross that out and say 1/3, does anybody not understand how I get 1/3 out of 1 to 2? No. Okay? Now, if I'm starting here and I'm ending here and I'm going 1/3 of the distance, am I going to be closer to A or closer to B? 1/3 of the distance. I'm going to be closer to A, so I'm going to be like right over here, all right? I want to go 1/3 of the distance. I'm going to write that down, okay? Now, let's talk X direction and let's talk Y direction, okay? How far am I going in the X direction? From A to B. I'm going from -5 to 6. Is that 11 units? Oh, that's not very nice. All right. Now, let's go from -2 to +2. How many units is that? 4. 4 units, okay? And I want to do what now?
Times 1/3.
Times 1/3. 1/3 of 11 and 1/3 of 4. I know 1/3 of 4. It's 1.33, let's say, ish, right? 11 times 1/3 is 9.67-ish. Or something like, not 9, 3.67. Blah. 3.67. Okay, are we good so far? Okay, we got our numbers here. All right, now what do I do with those two numbers?
You go to the right.
Okay, I want to take -5, which is my starting X, and I'm going to the right. How much am I going to the right? 3.67. So I take -5 and I'm going 3.67. I'm adding that. -5 plus 3.67. -1.33. So this guy right here is -1.33, comma. Okay, I'm going to start at -2, and I want to go 1.33 up from there, right? So -2 plus 1.33 is like 0.67. Okay, now if I convert those back to the fractions like they had them, what's -1.33? -4/3 or -1 1/3. I don't care how you write it, right? What's 0.67? 2/3. Okay, now does that look-ish like where my dot's at? Oh, wait a second.
No.
Should it be at -0.67? Did I not write that down right? -2 plus 1.33 should be -0.67. I dropped a negative somewhere. Good thing I checked. He should be down here. -1.33 and -0.67 or -2/3. That's where he's at. Okay, does that look like where he's at?
Yep.
Okay, beautiful. Do we see how this works? We're just doing two different ways.
In fraction or decimal.
No, I don't care for now. I don't care for now. If it's thirds, I would rather you write it in a fraction, but I'm not going to count it wrong. And the reason why I'd rather you write it in a fraction is because 0.33 is technically not a third. Do you understand that? What? Versus like 0.75 is exactly 3/4, like we did in the problem above. That's exactly 3/4. But 0.33 is not exactly 1/3. Does that make sense? It's 0.3 repeating. Whatever. Anyway, well, but if you do it all, I won't count it wrong. All right, moving on. Let's do, all right, let's do example 3. Yep, here we go. Actually, I don't want to do example 3. I don't want to do example 3. Let's do, nope. Let's do,
do a homework problem.
I want to do one where we're going downhill, but I don't have another downhill one.
Do 3 on the homework.
Let's do,
Number 2
do you have to do number 3 on the homework though? Okay, let's do 3. Yep, let's do 3 on the homework. This is a good problem, okay? Go to the homework number 3, which you don't have to do, but it's a good example. I like this one, okay? No. Number 3, here we go. I like this one because it's going downhill, so we've got to look at what's happening when we're going downhill. We want to go 1/3 of the distance from J to K. So we're starting at J and we're going to K. This is my ending spot. Okay? Starting, ending. I want to go a third of the distance from J to K. So am I going to be closer to J or closer to K? J. I'm going to be closer to J. A third of the way, right? About there-ish. Something like that, right? Okay? All right, now let's figure out X direction and Y direction. Okay? I'm going from -1 to 5. That is how many units? 6 in the X direction. Oh, that's going to be easy. Okay, from the Y direction, 4 to -3 is 7. That's not going to be so nice. All right, what am I doing with those two numbers? Times 1/3. What's a third of 6? 2. What's a third of 7? 2.33.
Yep.
Right? 2.33. All right, now, here's where we have to really think a minute. Okay? All right, I want to go 2 units to the right. So I'm going to take this dot. I'm going to go 2 units to the right. Which number am I going to add to? -1 or 4?
-1.
-1, because that's the X direction. So I'm going to take -1 and I'm going to add 2 to it. So I'm at 1. Okay, so whatever this is, 1 comma something, right? Okay, now this 4 is my Y coordinate. I'm going to do 2.33 to it, right?
Subtract.
But I'm going to have to, in this case, subtract because I'm going down in the Y direction, right? So 4 minus 2.33 is 1.67, okay? Or you could say 1 comma 1 2/3, right? Because that's what 0.67 is. All right, now, does my ending spot look-ish like 1 comma 1.67 or 1 2/3? I would say so. Check and make sure,
No.
because otherwise you're going to be kind of like maybe have a mess, all right? Check to make sure it seems appropriate, okay? So if you're going downhill from left to right, you may end up having to subtract. Make sense? Good? Beautiful. All right. Okay, there are your homework problems. Get a start. You have lots of time. You only have 8 problems. Give me 8 good quality problems. Please, please, please.